All right, guys. Been messing around with Fusion 360 this morning. So, I wanted to replace an end cap to a batten on a windsurf sail that went missing several years ago. So, I've dug out my sail because I'm going to start doing some windsurfing again soon, now that the winter's coming. And so, I just wanted to replace the end cap. So, I thought I'll knock something up in Fusion 360. It's very straightforward. All you have to do is obviously go to create sketch. Well, in fact, we show you roughly what you do. You go and create yourself a sketch, choose a plane. Then you want to create a rectangle, not a 2-point rectangle, but you want to create something like a 3-point rectangle or rectangle at center. I think that's the one to go for. Select your pivot point in the middle, or center point as they call it. Drag that out to the size that you want. In my case, I think I'm selecting the internal diameter of the cap, but the external diameter of the batten, which is a width of, say, 6.9 tab, and then 8.3 probably, just to give a bit of clearance either side, so you don't choose a literal size, you always give a bit of clearance and double it, so probably 8.4 in fact, something like that. Um, and that ends up with your rectangle. And then you can finish your sketch. Um, you can just use your mouse to zoom in and use your pan to, so a bit of mouse, a bit of panning. So now you've got your rectangle, and obviously you want to start extruding this. You could, I suppose, well, I typically extrude it first. Now, whether this is the right way or the wrong way, I don't know. I just learn as I go. Um, but I'm going to escape out of that, extrude, choose the point I want to extrude rather, drag that up. So this is the initial section. I'd say it's going to be about, in fact, I know for certain it's going to be something like 14 millimeters on the extrusion, roughly. And then I want to turn that into a shell. So again, I think we modify this. We say we want it to be a shell, and you want to have an outside shell because this is the internal dimension, right? And you're going to probably have that as, I don't know, 3 millimeters, probably. Probably 2.5 will be adequate, but 3 should suffice. And then you've got your roughly, um, the bit where the batten's going to go in. Now, I made a little prototype of this first and printed out much shorter just to see if the dimensions were okay and the batten went in okay. And then I started putting fillets or chamfers in here and on the edges and like. The next thing I went and did was I wanted a kind of end cap under here. So in order to do that, you have to kind of rotate that around onto, well, in fact, before we do that, is that going to be okay? Yeah, that's going to be okay. So I think it is. Um, I want to create an end cap. So what you can do is construct a offset plane, and you want to choose an offset plane that's, say, I don't know, 6 millimeters away from the base, and just hit return, and then rotate that around so you can see you've got your offset plane down the bottom. And the next bit is to create another rectangle on that offset plane and draw a loft between these two bodies. So yeah, so we go and create another rectangle. So hang on a minute. I need to go back to sketch. Sorry, yeah. In fact, let's just go back to escape home so I can see everything where I want it. I'm going to create a rectangle again. It's going to be a center rectangle on this new offset plane. Oh, hang on this offset plane. So let's try that again. Create rectangle center. There you go. And and I do the same thing. Basically, I create another rectangle, and then I'm going to create a loft between the two rectangles. Sorry, between these two objects, effectively. And what you will then end up with is something like that. And then I create a loft between these 2 points. So obviously the rectangle on that offset plane, and I create a loft. Then I just fillet it, and you end up with something like that, which is, yeah, not bad. It looks kind of unelegant, but in fact it prints out great. So don't worry too much about these, chamfers not being what they look. I created, I'm sure there's a more elegant way, of course, of doing this, but it will suffice. And so I then 3D printed that into Fusion 360. It's pretty straightforward. So you would go 3D print, you would select the object, you would select your application via the folder, you print utility, and that's where it's going to end up. I'm using Cura. Use whatever slice that you want. I'm going to cancel that because I've already got it in here. And then the next trick is to set the wool thickness, because it's going to be a thick object, so it's 0.8 rather than the usual 0.4. And I've set the skirt brim fairly thick as well. You don't have to set, in fact, I probably don't need a skirt brim that thick. Probably 0.4 would be adequate. What else have I set? The wall counts 1, top layers 2, bottom layers 3, infill density of 10% on this particular one. Pretty much everything else is the same. And then I go and slice that up and print preview it, just to have a quick look at what it looks like. Zoom in on that, rotate around, zoom in, and then have a quick butcher. So yeah, it looks about right. There's enough sort of volume in here for the batten to go inside. There's enough integral strength. It's got plenty of strength underneath. It's lightweight enough. I could probably use more infill. I've used lines. Yeah, and that's now gonna print its way out. As you can see, it's working its way out there. And that comes out quite well. So, and that will be my new batten. So I can then get the windsurf strap will go over this sort of end piece, and then it's like a cap at the end of the batten really. And that is pretty much what I did this morning. I thought, yeah, why not? Just go and print one out. Rather than it just going on to the end of the fiberglass batten, let's just make a new end cap for it. And I could make it look similar to it's not quite the same as what's on my windsurf sail. But yeah, I think you kind of get the gist of it. I do like this replay feature because you can actually see all the, I think I deleted a couple of these chamfers because they extended this. I extruded it even further because it wasn't deep enough really. Let's see how far we can get back. There you go. You can see the stages I went to. There you go. That's the loft between these two planes. And the rest of it is really just chamfers and, yeah, a couple of rectangles with a shell. So I'm slowly but surely learning Fusion 360. There's a lot better experts out there on YouTube. But yeah, just goes to show, even with a bit of hacking really, which is all I'm really doing, you can actually get an object and it with the correct dimensions to print out, effectively be a spare. Anyway, good luck with your printing in Fusion 360.